Hello, beautiful people, and welcome to another edition of the Positive Psychology Coaching and Diversity Institute LinkedIn Live and YouTube Live around growing gratitude and self efficacy. Today, it's going to be me, Coach Marcella Mapp, and Dr. Kathleen Costello, and we are going to be talking all things gratitude. How timely, considering that it is the second day of November, and I'm really excited to get it started. How about you, Kathleen?
Yes, me too. Actually, Thanksgiving is my favorite holiday
Is it? What makes it your favorite holiday?
because I love gratitude. And I think that though there's a lot of background to the holiday, I love the fact that it's not related to anything except being grateful, Thanksgiving, and bringing people together and eating good food. And I love that to me, taking maybe some of the history and all that out of it, just looking at it as a day of Thanksgiving and gratitude is something that it's a very inclusive holiday in that way, because hopefully we can all get around that theme.
I love it. I love it. And because at the Positive Psychology Coaching and Diversity Institute, we are all things leadership, all things diversity, equity, and inclusion, and bringing people together to make and build a better workplace for all. How today's live is all about how do we incorporate gratitude through self efficacy that helps our workplace feel like a place where we can not only show gratitude, but be open to receiving what that looks like from leaders and from people on our teams. Okay,
Mhm.
so let's hop into it. So the topic that our title for today is growing gratitude to foster self-efficacy. And I thought it was really great to pull these two things together because, although gratitude is all about being grateful, self-efficacy is one of those things that gives someone extra boost of confidence.
Mhm.
Self-efficacy is defined as is the person's belief in their abilities to complete a task and achieve a great goal. And encompasses a person's confidence in themselves to control their behaviors and exert an influence over their environment and stay motivated in the pursuit of those goals. So if I'm a leader and it's my job to make sure that my team is motivated, to make sure that my team is on task and focused. How can I help my leaders to be able to pull out that self efficacy, kind of enforcing and empowering what someone already has in them to help them to know that they can be sure about their abilities and their experiences and the things that got them to the point that they are at?
Mhm. Yeah, I love the combination of these two themes because I don't think maybe right off the bat people would think of these as going together,
Mhm.
or gratitude being a tool that can increase self-efficacy, but it definitely can, and I know we're going to talk about that a little more. So, yeah, I think it's a really great topic.
Okay. So when you think about self-efficacy and knowing like the different type of leaders that we coach, how
Mhm.
do you think that self-empowerment, that confidence boost that we're able to give ourselves plays a role in the way that we show up in the workplace?
Yeah, great question. I mean, I think it's the the first thing that comes to mind is I think a lot of times in leadership, especially folks who are moving into leadership roles initially, there can be a lot of fake it till you make it, kind
Mhm.
of with confidence and how you present yourself. And I think what's important about self-efficacy is that it's really starting to garner that real confidence in ourselves from within, but it's definitely supported by external factors too. And so I think um, a strong leader has a strong sense of self-efficacy because they can pull on things from within, especially when the going gets tough. And I think, kind of slightly related to this, as we're a strengths-based company, is one of the reasons why strengths are so important too, because they knowing what our strengths are also can help give us something to pull on to build some of that self-efficacy in addition to other things that we'll talk about. But yeah, I mean, I think self-efficacy is something that continues to grow over time. Like, I don't think that there's really a cap to it, because as we grow and evolve, there's more that we can learn to appreciate about ourselves. There's more skills that we can draw on. So I think it's something, and that's something that leaders need to be able to help foster in their colleagues and direct reports as well. I think a good leader is able to identify strengths, and other positive attributes in their colleagues and in their direct reports and help foster those to build self-efficacy in those folks as well.
I like that you said that it's a process. It's something that takes place over time. And, think about when you got your first role. It gives you the space to say, okay, these are all the things that I came in the door with.
Mhm.
And there is a whole array of things that I'm going to learn from my leaders, from my coworkers, from my teams. And if you're not open to that process, the only confidence that you'll be able to garner is the confidence that you have with the experience that you
Mhm.
bring with you. But if you shut that off, and we talk a lot about connections when we talk about being a positively diverse leader. If you refuse to make the right kind of connections with people,
Mhm.
you miss out on the process that it takes to build with the team that self
Mhm.
efficacy over time as you grow confidence in the new things that you're required to do, the new expectations that are put in front of you so that you can, evolve with the new
Absolutely.
position that you get.
Yeah, and I would say I would agree absolutely, and add to that that I think when someone has authentic confidence, or an authentic sense of self-efficacy, they're more willing to identify it in others as well, right? And compared to if we're kind of putting it on or we're just trying to impress people, we're going to be less likely to try to identify it and grow it in others. So
Absolutely.
it's like begets like in that way.
Right. So, getting grounded in gratitude to foster self efficacy. So, a tool that we learn about, studying positive psychology is three good things. It's one of
Mhm.
those things that gives you the space and the time to take a look at what happened with the day. I know as we move into leadership positions and as we look at the roles that we're in, we find ourselves in places where we become robots sometimes. It's we're getting up, we're doing the kids, we're getting to work, we're doing all the work at work. And then once we get there, we are engulfed, focused on what we're doing, get off, and then, regular life happens. And
Mhm.
sometimes we forget to slow down and see, oh, wow, today was a good day. And even if it
Mhm.
wasn't a good day, asking yourself still, what was good about today? What was a
Mhm.
good thing that happened? What is something that I can be grateful for today?
Sure.
Have you ever tried to use that in your own life or with your leaders when you coach
Mhm.
to help them to kind of foster that gratitude? Because, like you just said, the leaders who are able to be sure about their own self efficacy, they can be able to pull it out and draw it out
Mhm.
of their teams and their direct reports. So, how have you used three good things as one of the things that help leaders to um,
Grow. Yeah.
mm-hmm,
Yeah. Yeah, I do use it in my own life. I'll tell the truth that I wish I was better at journaling it because, the research shows that writing those 3 things down actually increases the benefit of it
mm-hmm,
even more, but I'll be honest that I don't often do that even if I have a gratitude journal right by my bedside. However, it is something I do use in my own life. Actually, my husband and I sometimes before we'll go to bed as we're getting ready, I'll just ask the question, and then we both share, and I find that that's a nice exercise. Or sometimes at the dinner table, if everything gets kind of quiet and you need a conversation starter, that can be a nice thing to do with someone. Is yeah, what are 3 things you're grateful for? And then yeah, definitely with leaders, I think what I find, I just had I had a client yesterday, and what I see is that we all have really high expectations of ourselves, right? We want to get so many things done in a day. We want to achieve so much, which in theory is a beautiful thing. The challenge is we often set our expectations, myself included, way higher than what's going to be able to be doable in a day, sometimes a week, sometimes a month. And then we focus so much on what we didn't achieve or what didn't get done. And this can happen in the workplace too, with our teams, with our direct reports, and then that's what we focus in on. And then we're at kind of a deficit mindset, right? Because we're focused on what's not happening, what's not, let's say, good, compared to looking at everything that did get achieved, everything we did do, and really celebrating that. And I think that's where for our leaders, it can be a really helpful tool to focus on, okay, what is getting achieved? What are you grateful for? What is working? Because we know in positive psychology that focusing on what's working and building on that is actually a really positive and helpful strategy for continued change.
Absolutely, absolutely. And I think, when I've done the three good things exercise, and even when I ask my clients to do it, I always ask them at least try it for a week, because there's so many
Hmm.
highs and lows. There's so many things that come at you in your personal and professional life, that giving yourself the space to just slow down, you know what I mean,
Hmm.
and be
Oh,
mindful
yeah.
for a week, it makes a difference, and it just grows that gratitude over time. And then it makes
Hmm.
it easy where even if I'm not writing it down after those 7 days, I can let it be something that I just say out loud, or I start a
Hmm.
conversation with it, or I make it be something that I even take into the workplace with me. We have these virtual meetings now, and I always come across really interesting icebreakers and starter questions to get the room warmed up. And I'm always, anytime somebody asks me, we need an icebreaker. Three things you're grateful for.
Hmm.
You know
That's
what
a
I'm saying?
great
Because
one.
it's the middle of the workday. What are we talking about? What are we doing? And it's, so much to get lost in. And gratitude is one of those things that helps us to be present in the moment.
Absolutely.
Oftentimes our leaders are thinking about, at least our possibly diverse leaders, they're thinking about not only themselves, but they're thinking about their teams, the needs of their teams, how things are working, how things can be working better. And sometimes just being able to take it from a professional standpoint and say, we've been working on this project for this long,
Hmm.
and at this point, these are the things that I'm really grateful that we've been able to do. These are the hardships that we've had, but these are also the things that we've been able to learn from, we've been able to grow from, and it's helped us to get to where we are, and we have so much more to go for.
Absolutely.
You know what I
Yeah,
mean?
and I love one of the things you said is that, as we practice gratitude, kind of in turn, we become more grateful. Like that's one of the really cool benefits of it, right? Is it sort of
Mhm.
has this momentum that builds. And actually, I was just recently reading some articles from the Greater Good Science Center, which is out of Berkeley. And then also there's some research out of UCLA that actually shows gratitude practices actually change our brain.
Mm.
They strengthen areas of our brain that are associated with social cognition. So, kind of what we were talking about, our ability to be aware of others, and then also decision making. So, for our leaders, not only does gratitude make you feel better usually, but also it's actually going to help strengthen areas of your brain that are going to make you a better leader, right? Who doesn't
Right,
want to make better decisions?
right.
Who doesn't want to be able to read the room better and have better social cognition, right? So, and it shows that it strengthens our ability to be grateful. So there's kind of no reason not to try it because there's all these side benefits to it as well.
Yes, absolutely, absolutely. And one of the programs that we offer at the Positive Psychology Coaching and Diversity Institute is the Positively Diverse Leader, becoming a coach like leader. And gratitude is one of those things that comes up because it speaks on the idea that in the leadership role, you need to be able to foster things like validation.
Hmm.
You know what I mean? And
Hmm.
when we think about how validation shows up, not only for our leaders in kind of combating some of that imposter phenomenon that you talked about earlier,
Hmm.
but being able to give give their direct reports the space to
Hmm.
know that you're seen and you're heard and we can work together is a superpower that I think the
Oh,
leaders
yeah.
walk away with after completing the Positive Diverse Leader program, the 3-day program. So when you think about validation and how you've seen it be a tool that helps leaders to grow that gratitude and foster the self-efficacy that kind of makes a really big difference in the way
Hmm.
that their team works, in the way that their direct reports see them and connect with them. How does validation play a role in that?
Well, first off, validation is one of just my favorite tools, period, across everything. I think we can all be using it more. And I just want to apologize. I think my internet's a little in and out today. So if there's some flashing, I keep
Oh,
seeing it on my
you're
end.
good.
No, you're not? Okay,
You're
good.
good.
Good, good, good. Um, but no, I love validation. I would say that is one of the most powerful tools I've seen across working with individuals of all kinds. And here's the thing, it's actually pretty easy. It doesn't seem like it, but really you're just actively listening and then you're sharing back, you're reflecting back what you're hearing from someone, right? And hopefully maybe stirring in a little bit of empathy, right? The ability to be with someone in their, this would be in a difficult situation, but we can also validate positive things, right? Like, Marcella, if you were sharing with me some good news, let's say, I don't know, you got a promotion, then I can validate, like, wow, Marcella, you sound so excited about this. Like, wow, that must feel really empowering that you got this promotion. I'm so happy for you, right? So we
Mhm.
get to actually help people not only when they're dealing with something difficult, but also really celebrating what's positive for them. And what I have seen for leaders is it's a powerful tool in helping them foster stronger teams, fostering stronger relationships with their direct reports, and and I think it's something that just helps a leader feel like they know what to do in those situations. Because sometimes when we encounter difficult situations at work, it's kind of like deer in headlights. I don't know
Mhm.
what to do. And being able to just validate somebody's experience, validate what they're sharing, doesn't mean we have to agree with it. I think that's an important thing to mention with validation. If we're validating, it doesn't mean we have to totally agree with what somebody's saying. But we can at least, like you said, let them know they're seen and heard.
I like how you said that, how you empowered the statement that it is a superpower, because knowing what to do when things get tough is such a comfort. And sometimes it just takes that being in the moment and not thinking 10 steps ahead,
Yeah.
being right where you are and just simply noticing, wow, that is a good thing.
Mhm.
Or that was not a fair action, or that seemed to be something that you're concerned about. How can we work through it?
Right.
Validating right where you are, it makes so many more opportunities for more connections, for more conversations, for more depth and solutions on how things make sense going
Hmm.
forward. I love that.
Yeah, and I think what happens too, going back to gratitude, is that when people feel really seen and heard, they usually feel grateful. They feel appreciative. I think one thing that can cause a lot of workplace dissatisfaction from employees is feeling like they're not seen and heard, feeling like they're just kind of a cog in a wheel or they're just another number. And I have found that when folks feel like a leader is actually really present with them, which is I think something you're indicating, Marcella, is that when we're validating somebody's experience, we also have to be really present because we have to be listening. We have to really be there with them. If you're sharing something and I'm over here on my phone or doing something else, I'm going to come back and be like, "Oh yeah, yeah, that's nice. That's nice. Thanks for sharing that. I didn't hear half of what you said, right?" And that doesn't feel good. So when
Kathleen, I think I lost you. Kathleen, are you there? I don't think you're here. So, what I think the last thing that you were saying was how validation is a tool that helps your leaders to be present in the moment and to help them grow and evolve with their teams versus growing before them. I think one of the elements of what a good leader is someone who is able to not only hear what is happening with their team, but also being able to make adjustments and be able to share how those adjustments can be shared across the board so that everyone can grow together. I think Kathleen is back. Let's hope for this for a second. So while we are waiting on Kathleen, I'd like to take a moment. Hey, Kathleen.
Hi, Marcella. I'm so sorry. I'm not sure what's happening with my internet today.
It's okay. It's okay. You're here now. What I was going to do is I was just going to take a brief moment, a commercial break, if you would, to share with the people a little bit about some of the things that we have coming up with, or some of the things that we have going on with the Positive Psychology Coaching and Diversity Institute, affectionately known as PPCaDI. Some of the things that you can hope to see for the rest of this year. Each month, we host these live events where we talk about an array of topics that hopefully cater to the needs and give some solutions to some of the things that leaders are facing in the workplace. This month we are talking about gratitude. Last month we were talking about wellness. And each month is always a riveting discussion. So if you are not following PCADI on all of our social media platforms, please be sure to do that. You can find us on Instagram at PCADI. You can find us on Facebook at the Positive Psychology Institute, Coaching and Diversity Institute, and you can find us on LinkedIn as PCADI and the Positive Psychology Coaching and Diversity Institute. And you can also catch this video on the replay on YouTube. So we're a little bit of everywhere because we want to be able to share this good information that we have about how positive psychology and just having real conversations about diversity, equity, and inclusion, leadership, and belonging can really make a difference in how leaders connect with their people in the workplace. That's what we are about. That's what we really do a good job at standing on. And um, yeah, so if you are not following us, and we also have a wonderful leadership community. So if you can find us on any of these platforms, you can click on the link to get to our leadership community where we have conversations from leaders all across the world who are talking about the things on the different themes that we're doing. This month is all about gratitude. So come and learn about gratitude with PCADI. All right.
Marcella, I'm also thinking maybe we just keep a minute or two at the end just to share a little bit more about the PDL program because we
Of
mentioned
course.
it. I think it would be a good time to talk about that because, like you said, a lot of the themes that we talk about in these sessions also come up in different ways in that training as well. So,
Absolutely.
but I know
Absolutely.
we were kind of tying the knot on validation before I skipped out for a second.
It's the technology. It'll do that to you.
That's right. That's right.
So I think what you left off on was just saying how using that tool as a leader creates more space for the direct reports or the team to feel seen and heard. And that's one of those tools that makes for better connections. It makes for better communication. It makes for less working against the grain, I
Mhm.
guess you can say, because that always makes, anything that deals with teams that much harder. So if you can do that, practice not only the validation piece, but practice the gratitude piece, it gives so much more
Yeah.
to the team and the goal and the mission overall.
Absolutely, and if I could just shine a little bit of light, because I think sometimes we talk about these practices and we say, okay, just like go out and practice validation, and if somebody's never done that, it could be like, well, I don't know where to start. What am I supposed to say? What am I supposed to do?
Mhm.
And so I'm always a big fan of trying to start things with ourselves first, because we can use these tools anyway for ourselves, but also we can get more comfortable with them. So, with validation, one place to start would be maybe thinking back to a leader or someone in your own life who validated you at a particular time and
Mhm.
how it was impactful, whether it was like we were saying during a difficult time or they were really validating about something positive. And A, think about what it made you feel, and B, what did they do? What did they say? Another way of doing that would be the opposite. When was a time where you feel like you could have really used validation, and what what would you have wanted that person to say to you, right? And so we can look at these examples, and that doesn't mean we have to be a robot. And then when we go validate someone else, we have to do it exactly the same way, but we can draw on our own experience. Same thing with gratitude practice. By doing those three things that you mentioned, Marcella, when we do that in our day to day life, it kind of makes us more prone to being aware of the things we're grateful for throughout the day. So then that way, showing gratitude in the workplace hopefully will become a little bit more natural because we've started to kind of prime the pump, so to speak, by looking at it in our day to day life. So that, we're not kind of awkwardly like, I need to think of three things I'm grateful for about this person right now. Even if you can start with one,
Yeah.
even in my experience, the people that we are most challenged by or maybe really dislike, we can usually find at least one thing about them that we appreciate, right? And so hopefully you don't want to start with the most difficult person in your life, but even just starting to try to think of one thing about people that you really appreciate or are grateful for, and then taking it the next step and sharing it with them can be a really, really powerful tool to create belonging and connection, and really just more positive workplaces.
I like the questions that you used and the path that you took there, where it's almost like drawing on your experiences. What
Hmm.
would it have been like if somebody had given you that validation? It would have grown your gratitude. You know what
Hmm.
I'm saying? In that
Yep.
moment, in that situation. What would it have been like if you would have been practicing the three good things in a moment where things were more, static in
Hmm.
what it was that you were doing? So growing from not only from what's right present in the moment, but using your experiences to
Yeah.
be the teachers that help us to learn the lessons around how what it is that we hope, the expectations that we put on certain things can kind of come to life when we open up and make more room to grow gratitude.
When it's hearing you say that, I got this image of kind of being like what is it called? A light, like what are the light? So this is a lighthouse. This is mommy brain when I like can see the picture, but I cannot think of the word. So being like a lighthouse, right? So a lighthouse exists so that ships can see where they're going, they can see through the dark. And I think that when we are that source of light by being grateful at work, by validating, we can help be the light that helps kind of clear the fog that a lot of people at work are in. Kind of going back to what we talked about earlier, I think a lot of people are really, you know, it can be heavy at work, especially if we feel like we're behind on things, if, projects aren't going through the way we want. Depending on the time of year for different companies, it can just be really difficult. And so being able to infuse some of these positive practices can really help other people light up more too. And it just takes one person doing it, just one person to
Hmm.
really change that, to really lighten things up. No pun intended.
I like it. So, we're nearing our time for today, and I think a good closing question that I like to pose is, when you think about how getting grounded in gratitude gives you space to foster the self-efficacy in yourself, with leaders, and how it makes a difference in the way that we communicate with others, in the way that we show up. What is it that you want our listeners today to kind of know about how these things connect?
Yeah, I think the big takeaway is that gratitude is kind of a relatively simple practice, but that it has so many benefits. And one of them is helping foster more self-efficacy, because what can happen is we can turn gratitude in towards ourselves and start to identify the things about ourselves that we're grateful for, identifying strengths, seeing times of resilience, skills that we bring to the table. And when we can actually have that authentic feeling that, hey, I really bring something to the table, that's going to in turn strengthen that sense of self-efficacy. And then we can do that for others as well, which is really powerful. So I think the takeaway is gratitude, whether we're doing it for ourselves or for others, is just a really simple but incredibly powerful practice.
Yes,
How
absolutely.
about for you?
I think for me, when it comes to leaders and what it's like to be in a leadership role and the things that we help them navigate, it's always something big in front of them, right? So not only is it the confidence and the self-efficacy that they have about something, but it's how they affirm themselves and how they talk to themselves. And like when I was reading about self-efficacy, one of the connections I was able to make was, that children's book, The Little Engine That Could, that
Mm,
I think I can, I think I can. He was really facing a really big challenge. And the fact that he was able to affirm himself and boost his confidence around his abilities, it changed the way that he approached what he was doing. So even in the
mhm.
face of a lot of adversities, even in the face of a lot of challenges and obstacles that were in his way, the the goal that he wanted to achieve was all he could focus on. Yes,
Yeah.
I know there's negativity. Yes, I know there are obstacles, but I am grounded in not only my self efficacy, but I'm grounded in I'm good with this step that I made today. I'm going to be even better with the step I'll make tomorrow, but I'm going to take the time, I'm going to take the process, and I'm going to do it a little bit at a time.
I
So
love
if I
that.
can say I'm taking away anything from how self efficacy and gratitude comes together, is definitely being present in the moment for right where you are and giving yourself the space to not only validate who you are, where you've been, all of your experiences, so you can toss imposter phenomenon very far away from you.
That's
But
right.
also just giving yourself the space to be grounded in I know who I am, I know what I bring to the table. And if I'm working with a team, there's no way possible that I can do this by myself. So I stay connected and I stay grounded in the gratitude for who I am and the people who I work with.
Mm. That what a beautiful way to close, Marcella. I love that.
Absolutely. So you mentioned that you wanted to give the people a little bit more information about PDL before we go.
Yes.
So the Positively Diverse Leader, Becoming a Coach Like Leader, is a 3-day program that PCADI offers on a quarterly basis, and it is a riveting time for leaders to come together to really have some hard conversations about DEI and belonging and leadership skills and communication and connecting, gratitude, empathy, all the things that make a positively diverse leader. We offer this program to leaders and emerging leaders alike because we understand the need to change the face of leadership in the world. We understand that a lot of leaders are faced with so many things, and oftentimes the piece that falls short that we don't get taught in college is how to be a people leader, how to be a person that brings people together, how to grow strong teams, how to be a person first. And that's one of the things that I really can say that I believe that our leaders walk away with when they engage in our 3-day program. So if you're a leader and you are interested in getting connected with PCADI, like we mentioned earlier, we have the leadership community where we have different resources on a monthly basis. We have different connection points on a monthly basis. And we just get our leaders together and we make sure that we are having good conversations that give our leaders the strength and the confidence to go into workplaces and thrive. So, if you are interested in the PBL or if you're interested in joining our community, you can always visit our website at www.pcadi.com. That's PPCADI.com. And you can find all of the information there. Um, yeah, and that's who we are. And we love to have you.
Yeah, absolutely. I'll just chime in that I think the PDL program is a really unique program, in the melding of positive psychology and diversity, equity, and inclusion. And I think um, more workplaces are looking for this kind of training.
Mm-hmm,
So I'm glad we're talking about it so people know that it exists. And, we'll have a number of them happening in 2023.
mm-hmm.
So, if it's something that interests you, definitely check out more information on the website. I think it's a really unique and worthwhile training for strengthening a number of important leadership attributes.
Absolutely. So that is all for us today in getting grounded in gratitude and fostering self efficacy. I hope that you are walking away with something and you've learned something here today with us. We look forward to seeing you next month in our next live, and you can always catch us here on our LinkedIn for more information.
Awesome. Bye,
Bye.
everyone.